Shalom, my friends. We are going to say a few words about the Parashat that's coming this coming Shabbat, Parashat Aharei. We are still in the days of Pesach, and tomorrow night begins the second part of the holiday of Pesach, which is Shvi'i Shel Pesach, the seventh day of Pesach. But immediately after the day of Shvi'i Shel Pesach begins Shabbat, the usual Shabbat. Only we will read the portion of the Torah of Parashat Aharei. So I would like to say just a few words about the Parashat Aharei. Parashat Aharei begins with telling us about the story of the death of the two children of Aharon HaKohen, which is, by the way, something to understand. Why is it that the portion of the Torah, which usually throughout the whole Torah, you will not find one portion of the Torah that begins with the story of death? I mean, even when we learned about the death of our mother Sarah, Sarah has its own portion of the Torah, which is known the life of Sarah, Chaye Sarah. Not the death of Sarah, and yet we read about her death. Right? What about Yaakov Avinu? Our father Jacob, when he passed away, the Torah says, Vaychi Yaakov, in that portion of Torah in which they tell us about the death of Jacob, and yet the Torah begins by telling us the life, and Jacob lived. And you will not find it throughout the whole Torah, any portion of the Torah that begins with death, except this coming Shabbat, where it tells us, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemor, Aharei mot shene bnei Aharon, after the death of the two children of Aharon, bekorvatam lifnei Hashem vayamutu, when they brought that sacrifice of the strange fire, and they passed away, they died. We have to understand why. There is a suggestion to say that, you see, on Yom Kippur, we all know that Yom Kippur is the day of pardon, the grand pardon of the Jewish people, which means we need to be pardoned. On Yom Kippur, everyone needs a kapara, forgiveness. One of the things that provide forgiveness for the Jewish people, our sages said, mitat tzadikim mechaperet. When we hear about the death of the righteous, we feel bad, and that feeling causes our sins to be forgiven. That's one reason why do we read Aharei, this portion of the Torah that we will read in this Shabbat, on the day of Yom Kippur. Because on Yom Kippur we need forgiveness. So we read this parasha so that we will be saddened by the death of the two children of Aharon, who were very righteous and very holy, as the Torah specifically says. And thus, when we read this parasha, we get forgiveness. So that could be the reason why in this portion of the Torah, it starts with the death of the children of Aharon, and that's why it has been chosen to be read on the day of Yom Kippur by the people of Israel all over the world. What I would like to say now is the fact that we are going to, this coming Shabbat, we are going to also begin the reading of the book of the fathers, Pirkei Avot. How does it start? We start with an introduction saying, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek le'olam haba. All the people of Israel have a share in the world to come. All of them? And it continues and says, Shene'emar ve'amech kulam tzadikim. As it says, your nation is, all of them are righteous. Well, hold it, 1 minute. I don't understand. Number one, not all Jews are righteous. We have so many Jews who do not keep the Torah, who are not religious at all. So you call them righteous? And what about all Israel have a share in the world to come? If you promise me that I am going to have a share in the world to come, why should I bother keeping the commandments? If anyway I'm assured of my portion in the land of God, in the world of God, the coming world, right? So what does it mean? The answer is, כל ישראל יש להם חלק לעולם הבא. All Israel have a share in the world to come. Does it mean that this share will be occupied by that respective Jew? Not so sure. In some matters, your share goes to another one. For example, when somebody speaks Lashon Hara, when he speaks badly, when he destroys the reputation of somebody else, automatically he acquires the sins of that individual about whom he spoke so badly, right? And the one who was affected by the talk of this individual will have a reward, and his reward that he gets the portion in the world to come that belongs to the other guy, and now it belongs to the guy who was saddened by the fact that his reputation was spoiled. So automatically you have a share, but we are not sure that you can get it. It's like, think about it this way. Let's say you have so many millionaires, they have plenty of money in the bank. Are they sure that they will consume all the money until they die? In most cases, by the time they die, they have most of their fortune is still in the bank, which in a way does not belong to them. They are not here anymore. But since it belonged to them, and yet they could not enjoy it. So the same thing also with the world to come. It's yours, but whether you will take it or not, that is a different question. So that's why it says, ve'amech kulam tzadikim. Those who still are called your nation, the nation of God, which means if you respect the fact that you are a Jew, despite everything that is against you, but you remain proud of being Jewish. You remain proud to learn the Torah, which is a magnificent gift that God gave us at the mountain of Sinai. With all its precepts, the commandments, we have an enormous number of commandments, 613 plus 7, that we have to keep. It's not easy, but we keep it. Any Jew who is religious and keeps the commandments, he keeps all the commandments. That are possible today. Because many of the commandments are not possible anymore today, since the Bet HaMikdash since the sanctuary of Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, close to 2,000 years ago, right? Nevertheless, we are supposed to do all the commandments that we can do. It's not easy. As we have discussed in the past, that the nations could not receive the Torah, so they were given only 7 commandments. So I will not repeat what I said before, that even that was not very successful with them. But the Jewish people received so many mitzvot. That's unbelievable. Another thing we have among the Jewish people, we are, you see, it's very possible to see hatred among the Jews. Yeah, that's true. We are all human beings, the same as every other human being. But at the same time, when we hear a Jew who passed away, let's say a soldier of Israel who perished, unfortunately, every Jew is saddened. One Jew has been killed, all Jews, they feel that they are together. And that is an experience that we have felt many times, right? So, ve'amech kulam tzadikim. When the nation of Israel is all together with unity and fraternity, then kulam tzadikim. Then you are considered in general, all of you are righteous. And therefore, olam haba, the world to come, is yours. But only when we are together. Many times we are not together, unfortunately. But at the same time, in sad times, we are together. Many times it happened that during a war we feel together. Suddenly the gap between the religious guy and the non-religious disappears in the time of distress. like it happened in the 6 Days War, and in every war of the Jewish people, modern world. And that's why when we are together, we complete what others did not complete. But that does not mean that one should take it for granted. I don't have to do the mitzvot. There is another Jew who will do it for me. There is no such a thing. We have to do the best we can to implement the fact that we are Jewish. There is only one way how to implement that: by keeping kosher at home, by observing the Shabbat, by putting tefillin every day, by doing circumcision, by keeping the laws of the purity of the family. That's how we belong to Am Yisrael, to the Jewish people. And that's how we are known as Kul Amech Kulam Tzadikim. All of us are righteous, but only when we are all of us. In particular, then every Jew is by himself. But we hope that the day is coming, the days to come are revealing to us a new world. There's no question about it that the world sees it, that today is different than what happened 100 years ago or less. Today, something else. All the revelations are coming true. All the prophecies are coming true. Soon we are going to usher in a great Geula, a great redemption. And that's why Jews today have to prepare themselves for that. And that's why Jews who are not, who don't keep the commandment, they should try to think a little bit about it. There are ways how to compensate, but the point is that there is no equal to keeping the Torah and the mitzvot. Learn Torah, even if you learn a little every day, you will find out how joyous it is, how happy you become, and how enjoyable it is to learn Torah. Shabbat Shalom.